Hi there, it's Kevin with Rogue Deck Builder here with the Friday Night Magic Play at Home on Arena. Haha, don't go to your local game store. Don't support your local game store. Play F&M at home, according to Arena. Anyway, I thought I'd give this a try. I've actually built some decks here to play on this, and I'm actually quite enjoying it. A lot of lack of content from at least Brewing is concerned is I still am salty about the direction of design of just making haymakers rather than playing Magic the Gathering. And Standard and Historic are just plagued with what I consider haymaker cards. So think of things like Yorion and Embercleave for Standard. They did just ban Thassa's Oracle and some of the big Wombo combo enablers for Historic, but Historic is still plagued by must answer threats or you lose in a turn. So I particularly like to play Magic in a tit for tat is what I like to call it. Tit for tat Magic, where you play a spell, your opponent plays a spell, you slowly whittle each other's life totals down, play a lot of synergistic cards that work together, and that's my favorite way of playing Magic. I don't like just ramping till Yorion or ramping till Emergence Ultimatum and all this other nonsense. When I first started playing Magic, it was Scapeshift. Hated that deck. I hated a lot of what I consider hyper control to basically draw go, and cast big board wipes and then answer a threat and win the game with, like, when I started playing it was Jace and Gideon, and Gideon was the one win condition in the deck, or Jace. You just get Jace up to the ultimate, and those were I've never really liked the power level of like Mythics and rares. Some of these rares and mythics, just the haymaker power level of them of must answer or lose the game. So we have a format called Artisan right now, which is only uncommons and commons from Standard, and it's actually quite fun. I wish they'd keep it around. I wish they'd make a ranked for it or tournaments for it rather than just play 2 games and call it good. I mean, how lazy is Arena that they can't expect you to play more than 2 games? Tony Q College actually posted a video not too long ago about the state of Arena, and I have to just parrot that as well. That what have they done with millions of dollars of revenue with MTG Arena, where they still don't even have a good little deck builder? You have to use a lot of third-party clients to like keep track of win percentages and whatnot, which I think should be programmed into the game, that you could actually like click on a deck and look at the stats of it rather than have to use some sort of third-party program. The dailies are still boring as hell. Cast 30 spells, kill or play 30 lands, kill 15 creatures. Where if you look at other games, they have all of these like stretch goals, all of these, instead of just having that mastery tree of basically getting enough wins and then you can unlock these. These should be unlocked by actually, doing some sort of ability with their card. So for example, this Dina Soul Steeper avatar should be like, use Dina to sacrifice 10 creatures to gain 10 life or something, or pump Dina up by +10/+0 in 1 turn. Like, those little goals would be really fun to then unlock these. This is what another game that I play is Dota 2. That's usually what they do in their version of the compendiums. They have you do some sort of wonky scenario, and then you get a reward for that. And that lead people to actually playing more cards than just Embercleave and Emergent Ultimatum all day long, every day. Just spam Embercleave, spam Embercleave, spam Embercleave. It's not fun. It is not that skill dependent. Magic has lost sight of what it could be with all the synergies and the combos and the fun things you can do with Magic the Gathering. And I wish that they get some direction over at Wizards of the Coast so they could actually hire people to do the community or the game. Play, like, how do people want to experience this game rather than just slamming Embercleaves into each other? So dreadfully boring, Magic. It is boring. I can't believe people are still consuming content of this more of the competitive level Magic where it's just so boring. Anyway, that's my rant for the day before we get into the Artisan. I'm actually thinking about, since the lack of content is mainly due to me just being bored with Magic, but I love ranting. Maybe I will start a rant series. We thought about making one called Rogue Rants, where I just talk about all of the rants I have with design or with Magic, and maybe I will start that channel. If you enjoy those type of rants. Anyway, let's get on to the decks here. So I have 3 decks for you today. The first one is the Artisan Eidolon. So this is going to be using the 2 Eidolons. This is going to be the Hateful Eidolon and I guess Alisade's not a Eidolon. So Hateful Eidolon and the Alisade enchantment-based creatures with all that glitters. I thought that this was a good card to one of the more broken cards as far as power level is concerned. All that glitters is so the Life's Bounty and the Hateful Eidolon are great to hook up with it because they have lifelink. And then you get the package of Deadweight and Mire's Grass and Mogus's Favor with the Hateful Eidolon in black, and then you have the 2 runes. So you can draw some cards if your creatures end up dying with the Hateful Eidolon. Or you can rack up a bunch of cards on one creature and then swing for lethal. That's what Hela's Pilgrim is in here, just to dig for that all that glitters. And then you're going to be equipping some runes on and all that glitters on a card, and then basically just trying to swing with lethal. We get this new card called Killian here, Killian Ink Duelist, which I think is a pretty good card with Lifelink Menace. Again, another nice little lifelink target, and the spells you cast at target a creature cost 2 less. So pretty good target to actually throw on all the glitters. It makes all these runes cost 1 less, which I think is relevant, and all the things that are enchanting at the creatures also cost 1 less. So you don't get the huge ability of costing 2 less for any bigger enchantments. I just thought this would be a nice little one of. So that's the first one that I want to showcase. Kind of a fun little thing. It's pretty straightforward. You just has a little bit of control and aggro in the shell. And this one's the Artisan's Auras. So this is just taking more an all-in approach. We're not going to worry what our opponents are doing. We are just going to go all out on all the glitters. I think particularly this is a better build. Right now what you're seeing in this Artisan is a ton of ramp. People are thinking the best card in the format is going to be Cultivate or Binding. And they're running a lot of ramp. Like you keep going against ramp. I think they're going into, many of the bigger creatures you can still ramp into at uncommons. There's like a 9-drop that's not bad, and or just do some big spell type effects after you ramped into a lot of cards or a lot of mana and then a lot of big draw cards and whatnot. So your typical control the board, ramp into big mana, and then use big mana to draw a lot of cards and overwhelm your opponent. That's kind of a huge strategy right now in the this Artisan format. In fact, there's a vast majority of decks I went across when testing these decks, and the Alcid Life Bounty is really good against that, giving a card protection from black or something when they go to kill it, and you've actually ramped up big creature and then all that glitters. Or what's really good about this is just this deck does have a lot of draw with Siona, Captain of the Pyleus, as well as Arcanist Owl, and we're only splashing for green for these cards here. So I'm running the tap lands for greens and just mono white for the Arcanist Owl. Speaking of which, I do want to try a mono black Devotion. I think that'd be pretty fun in this format. It brings to life a lot of cards that are just not playable with Embercleave. Like Embercleave is such a terrible design card, and same thing with Emergent Ultimatum. Not just on the power level, but it pushes out any sort of card that doesn't interact with those 2 cards. You have to be able to either kill your opponent before Emergent Ultimatum happens, or be able to counter it or react to it, or you have to, same thing with Embercleave. You have to stay alive for Embercleave, and it pushes out these sort of synergistic mid-range decks are not playable right now in the standard format, which is sad because there are a lot of fun cards that I think could see play. So anyway, this is just your typical synergistic card with all the glitters. That was the first experiment that I want to do. And then I thought, what is probably the best deck that you can build right now in the format? And that's got to be the Sprite Dragon. So we have the Sprite Dragon as well as Riddle Form. There are a lot of different routes you can go with this, especially if the ramp with running mono removal / ramp, and then eventually the big mana. You got to run Keep Safe. Keep Safe's a pretty good card to counter a spell that targets a permanent you control and draw a card, and that just blows those kind of decks out of the water. But Riddle Form's a good card. The Heartfelt Immolator is a good card, and this Expressive Iteration is just a very powerful card. It's modern playable right now. They're running it in modern, as it's a 2 for 2 mana basically, and it actually goes through quite a bit of cards in your deck. The Sprite Dragon is another card that just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and we have access to Heartfelt Immolator as well as Experimental Overload to be our creature package here. So you basically have 20 creatures in this deck with this package for 16 creatures in this package, and then everything else is just going to try to draw you cards or tick up counters on the Dorat. So we have the 2 of Royal Eruptions, you have the 4 of Shocks, the 2 of Spikefield Hazards, Crash Through. Academic Dispute's actually good because we can utilize our sideboard, and I've got just a kind of a I'm not sure which lesson cards would be the best here, but Merkle Transformation seems to be the best because you can then put a Merkle transformation on a Sprite Dragon, and it's basically giving it +3/+3, so it's kind of a pump spell right there. And then Environmental Sciences is good too if you need to actually go get a blue source. We have Start from Scratch, you can still do a damage to an opponent. Destroy artifacts, probably not that relevant, or kill a blocker. The Spirit Summoning gives you an option, and then the Introduction Prophecy is just a draw card as well as Expanded Anatomy. So I do actually like these Academic Disputes because they curve pretty well with what I'm trying to do. Possibly they're not the right card to be putting in this slot. Maybe it's like Spikefield Hazards is a better card. I'm also not running any tap lands because I feel like this deck hates things that come into play tapped. So they're going to be basics, and it does a pretty good job of hitting spells on time. So anyway, let's just play a few here. I know that I've been speaking quick here, but I'm going to first show the Izzet spells. We'll start off with the best one, and we'll play one of each of the other ones. But there are a lot of other things I thought about building. I think the Kicker package looks pretty good with the Roost of Drakes. Some of the other pet cards, like the Gain 3 Life Drake, or whenever you gain 3 life in a turn, put a 2/2 Drake out. What seemed pretty interesting to relook at. This is actually not going to do it. We have to mulligan this particular one. And this one's also pretty bad. Unfortunately, we just didn't get what we needed. I can keep it. We do have... What are some draw spells? I'm going to go ahead and keep this one and just get rid of the Experimental Overload. It's the weakest card here. We're probably going to lose this one. I don't want to go down to 5, though. But if we do draw a blue source, of course, it's pretty powerful. Because the Expressive Iteration is going to get us back in this. Any sort of crash through is pretty decent. And it's probably going to be a mirror. I mean, this is the duh strategy. Unfortunately, it's another mountain. That's like the worst thing possible we could have drawn into. And again, this is something we could have gone this Swiftwater Cliffs and had better mana fixing. But again, when I was playing this deck, the last thing in the world you want to do was hit a tap land because you do need to get that tempo out. So our opponent's going to be playing a very similar deck as us with Frantic Inventory as the draw card. But unfortunately, we're just going to continue to hit just non-island based cards or crash throughs, or I mean, even at this point the Academic is pretty good because we can go in a iteration. Yeah, this is pretty crummy here. So see what our opponent puts out. Yep, they're going to go with the Expressive Iteration. I thought that this would be a very popular deck. I'm surprised that now this is my first time going up against another blue-red deck. But this allows, the snow-covered land. This allows to, play another card. And we're just going to be too far behind at this point. I think our opponent's going to be better at coming... Well, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what my opponent plays. Maybe they're missing a creature as well. Geez, we'll find another one. We have more Expressive Iterations now. Then we do Islands. We have more... Geez, we have not a lot of dead cards left in our deck we can draw. We have one on the bottom as well. I wonder what our opponent's trying to play here with... Yeah, what they're doing kind of the same thing I'm doing. Okay, so there's a 5/5. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to deal with this 5/5. So they're just trying to use Thrill of Possibility and Cathartic Reunion for... more value. I actually like our deck a lot better because I think it works out the gate better. But here we go with another Duran. I'm just going to scoop this out. There's no way. We're mana screwed. I'm not going to play it out. Our opponent's just going to continue to draw stuff. So I'll just scoop it up and get a better one. The mulligan was rough. And then the no island there was also rough. And geez, not even if we had the Academic, I think we might be able to keep it just so we could, go get the island and maybe start putting some pressure on our opponent. But that was just rough. Alrighty, so here we go. This one's perfect. This is a perfect hand. We have a turn 1. We will probably turn 1 opt because I'd like to get some more information. Then we have Durat to come in. That's probably the best thing. I might actually go with just a shock. No, now that we have another opt, we'll just go ahead and blow one of these opts. And this is most likely to be the ramp. I'm telling you, it's every deck is going to be going up with some sort of ramp. They have a lot of ramp targets. Ooh, maybe not. It's going to be Adina. So looking forward to seeing this particular. And a Crash 2 is actually not bad. But I think we can safely put it to the bottom because I do want to hit another land coming up. And that's going to be a good card later on. I think we're just going to Royal Eruption this right now rather than go... I guess I could go like a Riddle form. I'm just going to get that out of the way. It seems to be a bit of a threat with the Drain. Possibly not. And we can just go ahead and shock that. That actually gives us a good play with the... Our opponent missed a land drop too, so this is can be a blowout. So now we shock down the Witherbloom Apprentice, and then we get a counter on the Sprite Dragon, and we are in great shape. We've taken care of 2 threats, and now I think it's just clear sailing here. Yeah, okay, so it's the Bastion of Remembrance. I've come across a couple of these type of decks too. Unfortunately, I think we run out the Expressive Iteration. I think that's where I want to be, because we want to hit a land off of this. So, put one of them in our hand. We're going to put a shock into our hand. We're going to put a shock on the bottom of the library, and we're going to exile the mountain. I guess we could have done that in any form. I don't think we need to shock the Bastion. I'm going to wait with the shocking like a more relevant target. Like, both of these are more relevant. Can't the 1-3, of course, but we have some good things coming up. Twitch is something that is most likely needed to be... Nope, that's going to be shocked. So we'll go ahead and shock the Witherbloom Apprentice. And it's going to start draining us. The Witch can go ahead and block as well. That's a perfect... Yeah, that's a perfect card, because that allows us to put out Drat and Riddle form. And our opponent now can block the Witch with the Witch. And that's fine. I think that we're going to be way far ahead at this point. There's 2 Witherbloom Apprentices. I'm sure that this particular deck is going to be... Cool deck, though. Again, you're going to see different things. You're not going to see Embercleave, Yorion, Embercleave, every stinking... Like, what, you get Rogues in the mix there, too, and then the Goldspan Dragon? I mean, I guess Standard's a little more diverse in this week than it's been in weeks of the past, but it's still not great. So opponent's going to get a Necrotic Fumes, kill the big Sprite Dragon, but now we have 3 creatures on board that are going to continue just to... and this actually is kind of an ombo with the Bastion because it doesn't die, right? So whenever a creature dies, yep. So they're not going to get a life off of it. Yep. And that's going to take the turn because it's sorcery speed with all the lessons. Our opponent did not miss another land drop. So throw out the island, throw out Opt first. And the Sprite Dragon goes up. And we can throw that island to the bin. And there's another island. So now we're finding all the islands. So we'll Experimental Overload. And I think we can just get back another Opt here. Is fine. Just for even more triggers this turn. Possibly that's not what I want. I mean, it's fine. And we're getting quite a bit of damage. We get another island out of the way. Alright, just wants to give us all the islands in a row. And we can scribe. I'm actually going to set a stop. Oh, okay, it doesn't care. Arena didn't even let me get to that in that point. It held full control and just passed the turn anyway. Gotta love it. But I mean, that's a decent card to run out. Opponent has to block here with the Human Soldier. Oh, I had lethal here. That was dumb of me. I had lethal. Well, let's save it for next turn. So I had lethal with the Heartfire, I believe, because, yeah, we could have killed it and then... Oh, well. Now, I don't want to... Let's go ahead and scry. I don't want to show my opponent that I have anything. We can put that on top. It's fine. Yeah, but we had lethal with Heartfire, then kill. And I'm too embarrassed to show my opponent that I had lethal. So we're just going to act like we didn't and had to scry into this Heartfire Immolator. I think my opponent's still dead, though. There we go. So that's basically how this one works. Nothing much to it. Like I said, there's a lot of options you can build this particular Izzet deck. Let's go on and play another one here. Let's go ahead and play the first one that I like the most with the all the glitters build. And didn't we just play this opponent? So maybe there's not a lot of people playing. This is a great hand, though. We have... I actually think that going first turn... Yeah, we'll go first turn Alisade because we can go second turn, then third turn. That's fine. So for... Yep. Life's Bounty first, then Seasoned Hollowblade. And probably another Aristocrats type deck. So get the Hollowblade out. Everyone knows this curve quite well in mono white. Now we have to draw into, what is it, the Skyclave Apparition or Skyclave Maul. And then everyone's played that a million times. Hateful Eidolon. Okay, cool. So it's going to be a similar deck to kind of what I'm doing. Fortunately, I can go ahead and throw a Blossoming out. And then we can go Spectral Steel on our Hollowblade. Hopefully our opponent doesn't have a Mire's Grasp. If they have a Mire's Grasp, I think I'm pretty much toast. Deadweight, okay. Deadweight's fine. Not a Mire's Grasp. So... this is like probably going to be a hybrid between the two decks that I built, but this Alt FX is on the same page I am. Gonna go ahead and tack in for one? No, gonna leave it back. So here we have, ooh, that's a fun card. I think what we're gonna do, we just need to protect now with another Life's Bounty. We'll play this. And then we have a Citizen Training, which again we'll just throw on the Hollowblade. And then we have the Protection from Black. Coming up with the Life's Bounty. That's going to be a good card, too. It's going to be able to grind it out. And then we'll go ahead and attack in. Now we have Trample on this dude. And opponent's going to block. And Karametra's Blessing, huh? Well, then. So now we have to, hopefully there's no Mire's Grasp, otherwise we are really blown out at this point. But it's just Mire's Grasp that does it. It's not another Deadweight. Hey, another Hateful Eidolon. Okay. And nothing here. So, I guess I didn't have to kill the Eidolon. I could have just dropped a card instead. See what happens here. See if there's another Karametra's Blessing. So opponents is holding their own for sure. I think that I'd rather have a Owl here. So I can get an all that glitters. So we're just going to chain into Owls. Which is going to give me... hopefully it's going to get me some... Rune Crown. Okay, so Rune Crown's fine. It goes and gets a... it's something we can actually play in our decks if we wanted to. It goes and gets a specific... but there aren't any auras that are... yeah, Rune of Might is going to go on the Rune Crown, huh? And now we're in great shape. So now we can go ahead and attack with both. And no blocks my opponent. I still want to keep this Arctic Tree line. And then we'll just go another Owl. And hopefully we can get an all that glitters. Guess we're just going to go Owl into Owl again, though. And maybe I do want to put the tree line out because that can actually allow for, like, more chaining. Yeah, that's fine. So, double Hateful Eidolon is still scary. But that's not scary. It also required 2 to equip it. Oh, the fight is scary. So where's the fight going? On an Owl? But it does not draw a card. And we still have, like, scenario of Owl. I mean, we've dug a ton of cards here. There's another Life's Bounty. And opponent's going to gain 4. Let's see what happens. So we're still going to go owl. Owl into owl into owl. And there's the all that glitters. Unfortunately, it was a tap land. There's all the all that glitters. And I think we can just keep this Arctic tree line up to ditch. I don't think there's a point to... Opponent still gets to draw a lot of life, but all the glitters is going on this hollow blade. A Rune of Might, okay. On that Hateful Eidolon, there's a land. And we'll definitely just let those go. They're only gaining life back. No blockers now for the big Trampler. That already has Trample. So they should kill the All Blade right now if they have the opportunity. All right. So I was just trying to bait out any sort of removal so that I could then ditch the Arctic Tree Line and then put all the glitters on something else. But that actually worked really well. I forgot about that. The Karametras could go in here for like a spell. Let's go ahead and try our version of the Artisan Eidolon. Karametra's Blessing, though, is a really neat little card that I forgot existed. For giving +2/+2 is relevant on the double enchantment creatures you have. Fortunately, this is going to be a mulligan. And we can keep this one. And I think a Grasp is probably the weaker card here. One Grasp, we want the lands. I could actually ditch the land. Let's go ahead and ditch a land here. Everything in our deck is very, very... It's another option, Ginger Brute, to put in the deck. That's a good card. See, we drew a land, so we're good. So I hope my opponent does just go all the glitters on Ginger Brute or Watcher, huh? What does a Watcher even do? Whenever another creature with flying enters the battlefield gets +1/+1. Sure. So right here we can just go ahead and throw out the Transcendent Envoy. It will start buffing up our other stuff. So there's the staggering. This is going to be running Staggering Insight and all the glitters. I'm pretty certain. It's also going to try to... Yeah, it's going to be Staggering Insight and all the glitters. And I'm taking some damage here, but now I get to kill the Watcher. Unfortunately, I don't know if I want to throw anything else out at the moment. Let's just start off. Well, I know we're going to need black, so we'll start off here with the Mire's Grasp on the Watcher. And then I think just a Rune is fine. And then no attacks because this gives the Death Touch blocker. We still need to worry about that Staggering Insight. There's the Staggering Insight, but it's not going to get a lot of value off of it. Just going to do 2. And now we can take care of it. And we can actually take care of a lot of things here. So let's go ahead and Mire's Grasp it. And Mogus's Favor on the Merfolk. I'd rather take care of my opponent's cards. And we can actually Mogus's Favor on our Transcendent Envoy here, if we care. And I don't think we do. I'd rather just, keep everything back. We've taken care of one Staggering Insight, which is one of the better cards in the... All right, so there's all the glitter. Deadweight is that's going to be enough. So I think we do want to take care of it here. So we're going to Deadweight it. And then Mogus's Favor. You can see if we had an Eidolon here, how well we'd be positioned here. And we'll play this. I'll get in for a damage. So now I feel in pretty good shape. We've taken care of a lot of our opponent's stuff. They don't have a threat out at the moment. Rune of Sustenance, yeah, that's just a Desperation on the land. And another Battlefield Raptor. So we can go Helad's Pilgrim. And I think at this point we might go get an All That Glitters. I could also get a Deadweight and just continue to kill my opponent's stuff. I think that's fine. And slowly but surely grind out our opponent. And I'm going to keep back Amogus' Favor because there is a lot of 1-drops in my opponent's deck. And I'm more of the control route. I think eventually we can start scrying with the Silver Quill's Campus too. And that should grind out our opponent. Perfect. So that's going to... Okay. Rune of Sustenance, that's one more card my opponent is just drawing. I'm surprised they end up putting it on the... Oh, yeah. That is just rough. That is just absolutely rough that they drew an All That Glitters. So nothing much I can do about that. We just got outdrawn. Yeah, we just got really outdrawn. And Mogus's Favor +2/+1 doesn't even get us to where we need to go. We do have Death Touch, though, on our Transcendent Envoy, which my opponent might forget about. But rough that they found the second All That Glitters before we found one. And they're getting super low on. Gone out drawn 2 with the lands. So 5 versus 7. Still feel pretty good. Okay. So forgot about the Death Touch, which is awesome, because now there's another All That Glitters in the bin. And we can actually take care of this. Ay. But that's why Mogus's Favors can do a lot of work. There's another thing down. Let's play another land. And I'm going to scry it now because apparently it doesn't like to let me do a stop here at the end of the turn. Like it did be... Didn't I have 4 lands last turn? I was planning on scrying. So I think 5, 6, 7, we have another Ginger Brute. All right, so I can kill it again with Amogus' Favor. Amogus' Favor is doing a ton of work in this match. Or I can just do this and go and get an All That Glitters and hopefully just be way ahead of our opponent now. Because they only have 2 All That Glitters left. We are finally... Oh, I can even cast Mogus's Favor. I can actually do it on my own guy, but I think this is still better. I really honestly think it's just better to kill the Ginger Brute. And then you can gain 3 life, sure. Oh, it doesn't even want to gain 3 life. But now we are back in this game. There are lots of threats that are gone. You got to think now my opponent's going to start drawing, lands. Rune of Sustenance is fine on top. You go ahead and throw that on the other Pilgrim. And there's another Watcher, which is fine. We'll go Rune on this Pilgrim. And get a Killian. Go ahead and scry. And there's an All That Glitters coming up top, and we should win next turn. So another Watcher. So they found 3 of their Watchers. But it is now going to be over, especially since they did not leave anything back for this huge Killian. Oh, not quite, actually. So let's attack with these. All of them, because there has to be a block on this Helad's Pilgrim. And opponent's just sticking in for the funsies, I guess. Hey, okay, all the glitters were just piled up in the middle of our deck, and that is that. And let's see, pretty good matchup there. That Mogus's Favor just did absolutely that's so much work there. I wonder if it's actually good to put as a 3 of in there. But that's it. That's what I've got for you today with the gameplay. We saw some pretty cool decks too. I like that Aristocrats deck. I like the Staggering Insight. So people are on kind of the same page as I am. Like that's another route you can definitely go with the Staggering Insight and all the glitters and whatnot. But there are probably quite a bit of like usually what I look for artisans like, hey, can I make some of these decks that don't work right now in standard? Can I actually turn them into uncommon decks? This one, of course, not because it's tons of rares here. I don't think there's a way you could get. But I was looking at some of these back here that I've played, like the mono black deck, and it doesn't seem like you miss out too much. So this is one that would definitely be worthwhile to see if you could make something out of it. And like right here, the Deathless Knight. So the whole combo with this deck is Gray Merchant and Deathless Knight, and then getting back the Silver Moat Ghouls. And some of these other rares, like the Aria First of Lochtwain is really good. Of course, Luris is really good. But I'm pretty sure we could make a pretty decent mono black Deathless Knight and a Gray Merchant, and even still have like the ghouls as an option. You still have Mire Triton that can work. You still have the Archfiend Vessel, which isn't actually terrible if you use like Mogus's or Cling to Dust. Cling to Dust in Mogus's favor make the Archfiend's Vessel pretty decent. And then, yeah, this does actually look like it could be a thing. Yeah, I wouldn't count this one out. Like, it does hurt to get rid of Ayara, but there are some other ones that I'm even thinking that this deck hasn't been updated for a while either. If anything, out of Kaldheim, or I guess this one was updated with Kaldheim, but it hasn't been updated since Strixhaven. There might be some other things in these slots that we could use, like Timur's Chosen by Death. There you go. There's a good 2-drop, and then that's the only thing from our sideboard that looks like it's a thing. But Cling to Dust could just go, high up on Cling to Dust with Archfiend's Vessel. You can find another mill card. I do believe there was a mill card that just came out with Strixhaven that could actually mill like the Archfiend's Vessels into the graveyard. And the thing with the Deathless Knight, it was super good with the Yara, but I'm thinking you could run some other lifelink or some early, like to be honest, Mogus's Favor and Hateful Eidolon. You can actually run the Hateful Eidolon package with removal, and that could actually be what you need to curve into these type of cards. So that's what I like to do with these other formats. Is of course this deck just doesn't. The biggest problem with this deck is even with it's kind of the mediocre draws. So mediocre versus mediocre, you just lose, and then God draw versus God draw, you just lose. And so it's like when I'm talking about it's like Embercleaver or Emergent Ultimatum. If they have their perfect curve and we have our perfect curve, we can't beat them. If we have a normal draw and they have a normal draw, that's where these decks do shine. But it's the decks like the Embercleave decks and the Emergent Ultimatums is the bad draws, and the best draws are better than our bad draws and best draws, and then it's just our normal draws is where I think these decks shine. But unfortunately, that's just not going to be cutting it in this day and age with these Haymaker decks. If all you have to do is get a specific card and win the game. Anyway, that's enough rambling, enough ranting for the day. It's kind of a shorter, sweeter video with some brews. Hope you enjoyed these videos. This has been Kevin with the Rogue Deck Builder. Thanks for watching.